Good evening, everyone. Zolder is one of those circuits on the European racing calendar that has been around for a deceptively long amount of time. First built in the 1960s, designed by a Dutchman, the track, over the course of 10 years, quickly established itself as a challenging but enjoyable race circuit. In the 70s, of course, it rotated the Formula One race calendar with its other fellow Belgian racetrack at Nivelles-Bollers, but the circuit was renowned for its narrow roughness, the tarmac being hard and abrasive, and the brakes fading and fading rapidly as the track surface went on. And tonight, on the evening of a very rare situation in the UK where you're able to see a solar eclipse from your own home, ACC Race Nation is back for another round here as part of Season 13 in the GT Challenge Series. I'm Jack Millington, your commentator, as always, for the championship around a circuit that, personally, I'm a huge fan of. We are already into qualifying, as you can see by the drivers out on track. Let's have a little look at the current times and situations. We've been following Davy Zoutenbayer in the Nismo GTR. We've got Ellie Pocket back for the first time in a little while, to be fair. For Ellie, she leads the way at the moment on the provisional standings. So she has done a 129.4. Then we've got our debutant for this evening, also in the McLaren. That's Nolhan Cabrisseau. Beautiful name, that, for Nolhan. He's in second place on a 129.5. Howard Dunn up there in the AMR V8 in third position. John Goday in fourth place. Steve Hall again showing some good qualifying form in fifth position. It's Nick Lamming in the Mustang, which has already gone round the... Well, there you go. It's already gone round the hairpin. I know that the chase camera angles around this circuit on ACC are, I'm going to say, circumspect at best. Zolt Barabas puts his car on provisional pole by less than a tenth of a second. Jeffrey Van Buren is back. We've already covered Davy Zoutenbayer, the home hero in the 103 Mustang, the Belgian of Dennis Penders. This crowd would love for him to score a good result of this evening. That will keep a close eye on the 103. Mihai in the AMR. It's got a slightly updated livery, has Mihai. That's a nice blend of greens going on there in the 966. Danny Zoutenbayer is 12th, Liam Watkinson 13th, Ballock is 14th. Jacob Byford-Rue in the number 7 is 15th. Danny Felix was 16th. He's just been pushed down to 17th by Roland Jordan. Mikey Keating is 18th in the AMR V8. Daniel Takacs yet to set a lap time. Sebastian Berger back in the championship. Really nice to see Sebastian back, a very quick driver. He did participate in the Kyalami event, which is the first time we saw him this season. He finished second there. He'll be carrying ballast as a result. And Jordan Harding is 21st in the Bentley, yet to set a flying lap time. But let's get out there. Let's ride on board. Let's go with Zolt Barabas. Let's give you a lap of the circuit here at Circuit Zolder. So we come onto the main straight, little kick of oversteer from the Nissan as we go onto this 2.492 mile circuit towards turn 1 into Erst. Quite a difficult corner to get right. It's all about not using too much curb and then using all of it on the exit. Turn 2 is quite long and flowing. It does typically have a lot of bumps in the corner. You can see the car just dipping as it goes over the tarmac at that point of the corner. Through turn 3 and then into turn 4. We've got Keating in front of us. Another flowing right-handed corner. You've got to use all of the track as much as possible there. Try not to go into the gravel though. A good lap so far from Barabas. Down through the gears then into the first of the heavy braking zones for the chicanes. Over the curbs we go through 5. Amazingly that is classed as one corner. Now Mikey probably will be impacting this lap as we go through turn 6 and then into, technically all of this is turn 7. Through the right over the chicane, then through the left. Out of the way goes Dennis Penders. Through the right-hander, little wobble from the Nissan, and then out of turn 7 we go. All of that was turn 7. The left-hander over the bridge doesn't count as a corner because we've got the heavy braking zone of turn 8 to navigate. And oh, Barabas just got that a little bit wrong on the brakes and goes back into the pits. We'll follow Nolhan because they're at turn 7, so why not for the number 35. Into the right-hander, loads of oversteer on board with this McLaren. Through the right-hander, we've got the little arc over the bridge to come over now, completely flat in dry weather conditions. Got to spot your braking zone, which is what the Nissan of Barabas didn't manage to do before. Using all of the curb and a little bit more on the exit of turn 8. That little left right there is in turn 9. And then the final chicane is classified as turn 10, named after Belgium's most famous hero in motorsport of Jackie Ickx. And Cabrissot will come towards the start-finish line. Doesn't improve on the lap time, but it's a 1:30.1 in the McLaren. A couple of cars just coming out of the pits in front of us. That looks like Steve Hall and Dennis Penders actually, who've just emerged from the pits at the same time. And Cabrissot, who was in the top 2, has actually fallen down to 7th. So drivers are finding more time. Ali Pocket back in provisional pole. Barabas is second. John Gaudet up there in the big Bentley. No ballast to worry about for the Bentley this evening. Van Buren in the top 5 as well. I haven't seen Van Buren up there for a few races. Nice to see the Dutchman having a competitive qualifying session. Nick Lamming as well. Improving all the time is Nick. Got involved in a few scrapes last week, but it's a brand new track for him to attack with the Mustang. He's driven around Zolder before, of course, but in the Mustang, I don't know how many laps he's been able to attack with it, but certainly looking very well equipped this evening. Cabrissot there in 7th, and it's Dunn, Harding, and then Berger has got his first lap on the board, and the top 10 are within a second of provisional pole. Actually, that just cues that up. The top 17 within 2 seconds. Mikey running a touch wide there. And then Davies out and by just strikes within a second of Ellie Pocket's provisional pole time. Now, we do have to talk a little bit about ballast here because there are a number of drivers who will be running it. Dan Hatton, who is the championship leader, is not here this evening, so he won't be carrying 40 kilos of ballast. But Danny Zoutenbayer, who's down in 15th place, he will be carrying the full 40 kilos. Correct myself, Dan Hatton should be carrying 30. But like I say, he's not here this evening. But Danny Zoutenbayer will be carrying the full 40, which is not ideal, I think, for the AMR round here. But Danny taking his second ever race victory with ACC Race Nation last week at a track that I've talked about before with him in Valencia. He drove a great race in the end. So he's carrying 40 kilos of ballast. Jordan Harding, he finished 3rd last week. He's got 20 kilos on, but that doesn't seem to be impacting his time. Ellie Pocket's gone quicker again whilst we've been talking. But Jordan will be carrying 20 kilos of ballast. However, they aren't the only drivers in the field who are carrying it. Ellie Pocket will be carrying 40 kilos as well in the McLaren, which just shows you how impressive she's doing. She won it round 4 in Silverstone. She hasn't competed since then, so she'll have the 40 kilos on that McLaren. McLaren carrying the weight very well around here. And as I mentioned earlier, Sebastian Berger, who finished 5th at Kyalami in the 2-hour event, he will be carrying 20 kilos in the Porsche, the only Porsche in the field, let's not forget. We've joined him at right a good time as Cabrasseau, 1 place in front of him on the grid, has joined right up behind the 585, and the Porsche moves to one side, gets right out of the way. Less than 6.5 minutes remaining in qualifying, and Ellie Pocket has a little bit of a margin, but the start is crucial at Zolder. This is a circuit that is challenging to overtake on, so Ellie needs to ensure that she gets a good start and get into turn 1 first, because if she has, if we just have a little look at the drivers behind, Steve Hall's just gone up to 2nd, or Howard Dunn, or the Nissan of Zolt Barabas. I'm looking specifically at Dunn and Barabas there in 3rd and 4th. If she finds herself behind those two, she's going to have a long evening. Those 2 cars are the benchmark for straight line speed and acceleration off the corners. So that is something she's going to have to try and manage, which I'm sure she can. She's a fabulous driver, as has been proven so far in this championship. But we still have just a little bit of time remaining in qualify. 5 minutes to go. John Gaudet now gets the Bentley up to 2nd, and then Jordan Harding responds with a 1:29.0. So the Bentleys are working well at this circuit. So it's a Bentley 2-3 at the moment. Of course, don't forget Jordan is carrying that ballast we talked about earlier. Steve Hall right up there in 4th position. Howard Dunn with a good lap in 5th. It's pushed a couple of drivers higher up in the standings, a little bit further back, such as Barabas. Of course, Barabas was the championship leader. Until this event. We'll talk more about that and the championship connotations shortly. Steve Hall, I think, just popped up to 3rd then, as Liam Watkinson fires the Mustang towards the next couple of corners. At turn 5 in the Klein chicane. It is quite a bizarre setup that Zolder has in terms of corner names and numbers, because you would look at that corner that we've just been coming through at the chicane and think that is effectively 3 corners and 1 camera shot, but it's not. It's actually just 1 classified corner, which is somewhat of a surprise. Dennis Pender's in 14th place. Can he? Oh, he's going to hit the wall. There you go. He slides into the barrier. He's got time to get back into the pits. Now, he was 4/10 up on that lap, which if he'd have put it together would have put him in front of Davy Zoutenbayer. So that would have been could have been more time to come from that Mustang just yet. Mikey Keating in 19th place. Danny Zoutenbayer in 12th. As we watch the AMR V8 come round turn 3 in 3rd gear. Let's watch the commitment from the most recent race winner through the right-hander into the chicane. Let's see how the Aston Martin does over the curbs at turn 5. Very aggressive on the downshifts. Very aggressive on the use of first gear through the chicane. So Zoutenbayer attacking, trying to find more lap time. But of course, carrying the 40 kilos will certainly... Ooh, he's just jumped over a curb and that's going to put him off the road. So he'll have to just give himself a chance to get back around the track again. He should have enough time, I think, to do 2 more laps. I think he's got 30 seconds roughly to get to the start-finish line, so he should be able to do that. We're just going to return back to the garage. We've got 21 drivers racing tonight. Byford Roux currently last, but only 2 seconds effectively off provisional pole. I think he'll be pleased with that effort. Is Pocket going to improve on her lap time? Not yet. 1 minute and 33 to go. So who is that? I think it's, Cabrasseau, I think, is going to be the last driver to set maybe a penultimate lap potentially. There's a car in front of him in the form of Watkinson who might also get 1 more lap. So I'm reckoning that Zolder Barabas will be the first driver to see the checkered flag, I feel. A couple of drivers in the pits: John Goday, Steve Hall, Davies Outenbayer, Danny Felix, Mihai and Keating. They're all in the pits for now. Jordan Harding's going to get across the line to do another lap. He's got a car in front. That looks like it's Howard Dunn, actually. Of course, this is a small circuit, so the drivers are going to have to give themselves just enough space to be able to set a clean lap, but that's easier said than done. Byford Roux will get across the line. I think it's after him. I think it's Jeffrey Van Buren. See if he improves on that lap. No. What about the race winner from last week? It's Outenbayer across the line. He'll get another lap. No improvement. Ellie Pocket will get across the line. She's going to do 1 more flying effort. No, she's not. She's going to give up on that. And Liam Watkinson sees the checkered flag. So everyone now is going to be coming towards the start-finish line. What about Penders? Home hero. He drops down to 17th because Daniel Takacs moves up to 13th. A couple of other drivers. Berger's gone into the pit, so there's not going to be an improvement from the German. About Nick Lamming, he's in 9th at the minute. The Mustang, currently the best in the field. What can he do as he comes towards the start-finish line? He stays where he is for now. Ballant has just moved up to 11th. Nice effort that from him. Jordan Harding looking like the only driver who can challenge Ellie at the top. Stays in 2nd place. He is one to watch at the start. If he gets a good launch, Ellie's going to find it hard to get past that Mustang, past that Bentley. I've been looking at the sun for the solar eclipse this evening, so I blame the sun for my mistakes. Byford Roux coming towards the start-finish line. Can he get past Liam Watkinson? He can, and he gets past Mikey as well for 19th within 2 seconds of provisional pole. Tony's Outenbayer left. Doesn't have to worry about the yellow flags. There's no issues there. And he stays in 13th place, or 15th place. So, let's just have a quick run through of the qualifying results. It's Ellie Pocket on pole position by less than 1/10 of a second from Jordan Harding. Start is going to be critical for both of their races. Steve Hall and John Goday are on row 2. Good qualifying that from Steve to find himself back up near the sharp end. Zolder Barabas and Howard Dunn are on row number 3. Sebastian Berger and Jeffrey Van Buren are on row 4 with Nick Lamming. And, of course, the new debutants of Nolhan Cabrasseau inside the top 10. Ballant and Roland Jordan are on row 6 with Davies Outenbayer in 13th, the last of the drivers within a second of pole. Daniel Takacs will also share row number 7 with the Dutchman. Danny's Outenbayer and Danny Felix are on row 8 with Dennis Penders and Lorenzo Mihai on row 9, and Jacob Byford Roux and Mikey Keating share row number 10. Liam Watkinson has his own private spot in 21st place. Well, let's see how everybody gets on this evening. Just having a little look at the chat currently. It's relatively calm within the comments area. John Goday echoing what I've just said about it is very tight near the sharp end of the field. Byford saying let's go. He's very happy with that qualifying effort. It's the closest we've seen a field spread in ACC Race Nation for quite some time. 20 drivers within 2 seconds of pole. And let's not forget, in this championship, we've got some incredibly quick drivers who have been doing some popular things. Jordan saying, not sure where that came from. Came from your right foot, is where I say that came from. Mikey saying, yeah, exactly. Happy with that within 2 seconds of pole. Exactly. I was just saying, I think it's a really strong effort to be that close. I think there's a lot to be said tonight about keeping the car in a straight line. Zolder is a circuit where I think a lot of people feel they can attack the track, but it's an old style circuit. The runoffs here are gravel traps. It can easily sucker the car into an accident. I'm thinking, looking at the track, if you look in the bottom right corner of the map there, turns 4, probably going to be one of the big ones, the chicane
10 seconds.
At turn number 7. That can trip a few people up. I even think a few people will run wide at the hairpin at turn 8. But the time for predictions has been and gone. And we are underway for the formation lap here. As we flick through the cars. Oh, that was a bit of an awkward. I'm not quite sure what happened there. Ellie Pocket's not actually got me. She is now. Not sure if she had an issue or something there. But the pole sitter needs to get herself back into position, which she is doing. And of course, ghosting is on during the formation lap, pretty much up until the race flag drops. Just going to give myself a quick breather, and then we'll go racing. So here we are then, round 7 at Zolder of the GT3 Challenge Series for Season 13. Give you a quick overview of the championship standings. Dan Hatton leads the way on 117 points, but he's not here this evening. Zolt Barabas is second on 115 points. Stuart Packham is third on 110. He is also not present tonight. Fourth place is Jordan Harding on 109. Fifth is Danny Zoutenbayer on 108. Jeffrey Van Buren is 6th on 106, with Davy Zoutenbayer 7th on 96 points. Howard Dunn is 8th on 94, with John Goday a point back in 9th on 93, and Mitchell Peterson is 10th on 92, but Mitchell not here this evening. If you're looking for the drivers inside the top 3, who I haven't mentioned in the driver standings, Ellie Pocket is on 88 points, so she's 4 back from Mitchell Peterson, and then Steve Hall is 13th on 82, so those two just outside the top 10 in the driver's standings. But Pocket will lead us around the final corner. The drivers are going to have to get themselves into position for the start here at Zolder as we come towards the start finish line for the first time here in Belgium. And the race is live from Zolder. It looks like a relatively decent start from Pocket. She's going to move to the inside line and hold that as Harding is going to go around the outside at turn 1. And Harding is going to be on the inside for turn 2. Pocket breaks a little bit later. They're going to converge on lines, but it was fair. And Pocket gets the lead. John Gaday's moved up to 3rd. That's Zolt Barabas going wide in the background. We've got a spinner. And I think Mikey Keaton's been involved in that as well. I'm just trying to identify. I think it's Cabrisseau who's gone off at the start. And Harding coming under pressure there into the chicane at turn 5. There's been a big pile up. That's a huge amount of cars. Lorenzo Mihai, Jacob Byford, Ruley and Watkinson. There's someone else off the road, I think, as well. Yeah, that's a few cars who've been involved in that. So there's a big accident at turn 4. And I did say it would happen. I did say that was a corner where people would have an issue. We've lost the car already. And I think Howard Dunn's gone round at the chicane as Nick Lamming tries to find his way around Ballant Ballock. If you're going to make an overtake, you've got to do it here. There aren't going to be many more opportunities for you to get past, and Lamming has done just that. Good exit, though, from the Hungarian. Ballock's going to have the inside line, and in fact, the BMW comes off the corner incredibly well, and he should be able to defend that into turn 10, but Lamming breaks later. Nice racecraft between the two, but the BMW retains a position of 8th spot. We've had a huge accident at the start. We'll have to come back to the replay for that one. Dennis Penders, I think, got involved in that. He's got a bit of damage at the front of that Mustang. Might be just cosmetic, though. It doesn't look too bad from here. Mihai into the pits. What a shame. Liam Watkinson as well. So significant damage on their cars. Mikey Keaton, as a result of the accident, I think he got turned around at the start and then has somehow avoided the big accident at the next corner. It gets overtaken by his Aston Martin stablemate of Howard Dunn through turn 4. I think Penders will try and find a way past as well. Keating defends his line into the chicane. Danny Zoutenbayer trying to find a way past his brother. Keep it clean, ladies and gentlemen. Ooh, that was very close between the AMR and the Nissan at the chicane of turn 7. Ellie Pocket is gone, and up the road we've got Jeffrey Van Buren off. In the background, the Dutchman is tumbling down the order. And that is Danny Zoutenbayer cleanly through into 11th position. So Davey Zoutenbayer's gone backwards and Danny's gone forwards. And Howard Dunn actually has done quite a good recovery drive. But let's have a look at what happened to him. He's got a bit of damage to the front splitter on that car. And there's Byford Rue. So lots of action already. But as I said before, Ellie Pocket has driven off into the distance already. She's 2.6 seconds clear of Harding, who's under significant pressure from John Gaday and Steve Hall there too. Sebastian Berg has had a good opening few laps. He's up to 5th position. But he's got some damage to the back of the Porsche. Jeffrey Van Buren in the pit, so he must have hit the wall. That's a shame for the Dutchman. He had a good qualifying. Sadly, that's been punctuated and put into the pits. Hopefully he can stay on the lead lap, because Liam Watkinson only just coming out of the pits now, so it's going to be a long evening for the red Mustang. That's Danny Felix coming over the top of the hill into turn 7. Danny with what looks like an updated livery in the BMW M4. It's got some Dayglow green strips going on. There's Ballant Ballock He's had a very good start. He's up to 7th place. Jordan Harding is the man under pressure at the minute. Looking back from the Bentley to see his fellow Bentley stablemate with him. It might just be Jordan just getting up to speed, finding a rhythm, and a new fastest lap actually from Jordan. So Harding now getting himself into the thick of the action, but he's bringing G'day with him. G'day looking very strong here in these opening exchanges, looking to put as much pressure as he can on the 16. Into the right hand there at turn 4. Got to be careful of the curb on the outside at turn 4. We will come back to lap 1 to find out what happened in that multi-car pile-up. Ooh, that's awkwardly over the curbs for G'day. He was really pushing behind the number 16, but that will give Harding a little bit of a breather. See, Pocket was pulling away quite a lot, but that gap seemingly stabilised again. After Jordan's fastest lap, there's Sebastian Berger. Down through the gears into turn 8. This next left-right is turn 9. You tell me about how the corners are numbered at this circuit. And this group has pulled away from... I was going to say pulled away from Barabas, but he's just there in the Nissan. But Barabas is a second and a half to Ballant Balak. G'day has found his rhythm again, and Ali Pocket responds with a new fastest lap of the race. This is going to be a long, little slide for Harding through turn 2, and a little correction for oversteer for G'day. And Hall is also under pressure from Sebastian Berger, so these guys all having a huge fight at the moment. As Harding unsettles the car. Davies Outenbayer has got back in front of Danny's Outenbayer's brother, and Howard Dunn is now between the two cars. Big slide from Danny in the background. Season 10 champion, running in 13th place as it stands. Oof. You don't want to go any wider than that, Zolt. That could have ended in a disaster. You can see the drivers pushing very early on. But this is where the race starts to change a little bit. A big slide from Penders at turn number 7. The exit at turn 7. And Cabrissot wanting to find a way through. I'm going to go back to the replay then. I want to see what happened at the start, because it did all look a little bit peculiar. Now Cabrissot is actually the best person to start with, because he was involved in the first issue and he's already off the road. So let's go and change camera here. Let's see if we can get a good camera angle. There we go. So into turn 1. Oh, he gets a little hit from Daniel Takacs, goes right off into the gravel. Attempts to rejoin the track. Oh, and then Mikey comes across him, and they both go round. And I know Mikey will be thinking that was his fault, well, Cabrissot's fault, but it certainly wasn't. Let's just go on board with Mikey. So you see the McLaren rejoining. Mikey goes to the left and then comes right across on him. They both keep it out of the wall, which is the most important element. And then we now have to look a little bit further up the road. So there is a bunch of cars together. Penders had front end damage, so I wonder if we'll see what actually happened here. So that's Zoutenbayer going wide with his brother, the two brothers together, and there's a knock in the back of Jeffrey Van Buren. And then it just all, oh well, that's what happened. It all Constantined up, and then Bifadru got turned around. Mihai's in the Liam Watkins is facing the wrong way, and Daniel Takacs is facing the wrong way. So Daniel Takacs has already been involved in a couple of incidents already on in this opening lap. So goes into the back, gets it wrong, but fair chapeau to Takacs because he slowed right up and let Cabrasso come back into the race in front of him, and then they both go round of Keating and Cabrasso, and then, as I said before, Constantine is up at the next corner. So I'm just wondering how Takacs has gone facing the wrong way. Comes into the right hand there, it all just starts to gather up, and Takacs just kept his foot in it, which I'm going to be honest with you, from a commentary perspective, is quite clumsy. So what we now need to determine is, if I just skip a little bit further forward, Jeffrey Van Buren got hit, which causes all of this to Constantine up. So, in fact, Zolt Barabas gets hit by Van Buren. Van Buren gets hit by Balak, well held from both Lamming and Van Buren for that matter. So that's what happened to those guys, and that causes all the carnage behind because they all check up. And then Howard Dunn goes off on his own. We'll cut a little slide out of that corner, and then he's already facing the wrong way. So does he just... Oh! Well, that was more problematic than we thought. So Sebastian Berg is already already in the wrong direction. So let's have a look at this one. Is he going to put a wheel on the grass? No, he gets hit. Oh dear. Is that Zolt Barabas who's gone into the back of Sebastian Berger? I think it might be. Yeah, I think the Hungarian is going to be in trouble. Over the top of the crest, into the left-hander we go. The brakes go on, and oh, that's a multi-car pile-up, and I think Barabas is going to be in the steward's office with that one. And he doesn't wait either. Well, he doesn't wait for Berger because Berger's in front of him, but you could argue that he should have waited for Howard Dunn. And then Van Buren goes off on lap 2. I know that we're watching the replay. I know I've spent a significant portion of these last few minutes watching it, but I want to know what happened to Van Buren because he was off the road at a corner that I would not say I've normally seen many drivers go off at. So I'd like to know how he ended up... Oh, he just ran wide and then it spat him out the other way. And then he hits the wall, and that's why he got damage. Okay, that's what's happened. There's a bit of an overview of what's happened in the opening lap and a bit. Let's go back to the garage to see what the situation is. So John Gaudet is second and Steve Hall's third. So Jordan Harding's dropped down. There's been an overtake or an issue for Harding because he's lost 2 spaces. Berger is in 5th position. And then it'll be Barabas who will be in with the stewards. We've lost another car. So we're down to 19 drivers. Ballant Balak is in 7th. It's Nick Lamming in 8th. Roland Jordan 9th. Davies Altenbayer now inside the top 10. Dunn, then Felix, who's been overtaken actually by Danny's Altenbayer. So the 101 has swapped places. Penders is on his own in terms of the track in front of him. That Mustang looks hobbled actually as I talk. And Lorenzo Mihai back in the pits. Just a lot of issues have happened here at Zolder this evening. I fear that the steward's room is going to be mightily busy. There's Dunn right with Zaltenbayer. And Dunn looking to the inside. He's gone for it. Down into turn 8. He was as far back as Brussels. He's kept it on the tarmac, but the Nissan... Oh, bit of contact. And Davey retains the place. I think Dunn did well to keep the car on the tarmac, but I suppose you have to throw it down the inside, really, to hope that a move will stick. As Steve Hall gets overtaken by Jordan Harding. Well, that must have been a mistake from Hall that's led to that opportunity because the Ferrari is up to 4th. He just about closes the door on Sebastian Berger. And because we were watching the replay, we can't actually see what what happened with John Gaudet and Jordan Harding and Steve Hall for it all to turn around. And Nick Lamming and Ballack have brought themselves into this group. So this is a 6-car fight for the podium. That is led by Harding at the minute. And is dovetailed by Nick Lamming, who's about 2 seconds behind Steve Hall at the minute. Ellie Pocket still leads, but she's only 3 seconds in front of John Gaudet, who I said earlier looked very fast in the Bentley, and he's proving that to be the case. Oh, that's Barabas off the road. Barabas has gone off the road. And he's gone into the pits. I don't think he meant to do that. I really don't think he meant to fire into the pits. I think he got his braking zone wrong, realised what happened, and has gone for a very early pit stop as Ballack runs deep at turn 1. So the Nissan is the first of the drivers to make a mandatory pit stop. It's very early, but I have a sneaking suspicion that it wasn't intentional. Well, there we are for now. Now, of course, Berger is carrying damage from the incident that he had with Barabas earlier. In 5th place, he is carrying 30 kilos of ballast, is the Porsche. Steve Hall wants a podium. We've talked about Steve Hall so many times about scoring a podium. Don't forget, he did get one last season at Misano. He hasn't had one this season, but he is starting to look like the champion we know him to be. Of course, it is a little bit frustrating. I believe he's not racing next week. But Hall, now that he's got his pedals sorted and his attentions are fully focused on ACC, starting to look like that Season 8 champion again. And that's always a pleasure to see, really. Realistically, it's really great. Back fighting at the front. There's Davies out and by it. He's got Howard Dunn has overtaken him, actually. So Dunn, who'd sent that car back from Brussels to try and overtake earlier, has now made it stick. I'll be honest with you, Howard Dunn is not that far away from the group for the podium. If I look at his times currently, he's 8 seconds behind Nick Lamming. Now, if those... Well, I said 6 cars, it's 5 because of Barabas pitting. If those cars continue to squabble, Dunn could close that gap back up over the next 40 minutes. It's not impossible at all. So this has been a strong recovery drive from the South African. Nicely done. And Barabas has got clean air around him. He doesn't have anyone near him for quite a while. So Barabas will be able to put his foot down and see how he gets on. What he's got to be careful of, though, is that he doesn't get lapped. He should be okay, considering that Ellie Pocket is 11 seconds behind. Oof. Wide into turn 4. Speaking of the race leader, there she is. That gap, 3.8 seconds. So it's gone up a little bit since we last looked. But Gaudet keeping her honest. Now, John Gaudet still... Since he joined the championship last season, he's been looking quite impressive at times. And a number of podiums in his favour. Still looking for that first race victory. He did get 2nd place, actually, did Gaudet last season at Kyalami. He got third 2 weeks ago. Again at Kyalami. It's just seemingly a good track for him. But Zolder definitely not like the track in South Africa. It's certainly a lot different. And the characteristics of the Bentley seemingly working in his hands at the moment. Nick Lamin, ooh, a little slide for the Mustang out of the corner. And there's Dennis Penders. I definitely don't think that car is healthy at the minute. Let's just watch him as we go down the straight. The car is not quite tracking in a straight line, I don't feel. Whether he's going to get that damage fixed during the pit stop remains to be seen. 131.6 from the Mustang driver. And Keating doing a 33.3 on that last lap, so he's made a mistake somewhere on that lap. Danny Zattelbayer now setting off after his brother for a slot in the top 10, and Howard Dunn now, he's only 7 seconds behind Nick Lamming, and he's going after Roland Jordan. This could be the drive of the day, this, if he can build his way back up to that group. You could argue that Dunn might be better served. There they are going through the chicane actually at the final corners. You could argue that Howard Dunn could just continue for as long as he can. If he goes a little bit longer on strategy, it might just help him get into a rhythm. He won't have to worry about fighting anybody. Once he's able to overtake Roland Jordan, he's a second faster than the M4 in front of us. Steve Hall, well, he's just lost a bit of time to Jordan Harding, who seemingly has got himself back in control, but he is being shadowed by Sebastian Berger. Oof, big clamp over the curve. You could tell he lost a lot of time, and there's Berger. Oh, Jordan's got that a bit wrong. Can Howard Dunn take advantage of that? He's going to look to the outside. This is going to be brave. This has got to be brave from Dunn. He's going to give enough room. He's going to be down the inside into turn 7. And that is all the space that Dunn needed to get into 8th place. Well, Howard didn't lose much time there. And his line was fantastic. He's already pulled a second on the BMW. Just put a wheel on the grass, did Roland. And it just unsettled the car. And Howard Dunn was as through as easy as that. South Africa now is going to be dreaming about getting up to these drivers. I think it's possible. I certainly believe it. Sebastian Berg is in the pits, so one of the first of the front runners wants some clean air. It's a little bit early for a pit stop, but we've seen this done before. Stop and go has been served from Jacob Byford-Rue, so good qualifying has just been a little bit jeopardised. That's the current tally as it stands for drivers who have pitted. Zolt Barabas, of course, pitting earlier than everybody else. I still think that was an unforced error. But he's just got to make do with that, I feel. I wonder if he's got enough fuel to get to the end of the race, whether that's part of his calculations. Let's see where he comes out in relation to Sebastian Berger as well. Lorenzo Mihai, I don't think he's going to come back out on track, actually. Everyone just a little bit spread out now. Ballant Ballack is a second behind Steve Hull. A great drive from Ballant, have to say. A Hungarian. Let's not forget, this is the driver who finished 4th on his debut in the series at Misano. Hasn't quite had the results since then. He's had a couple of DNFs, he's been involved in a few incidents, but he has got the speed in the M4. He's showing it tonight. Let's see if he can continue it on. He does, again, like a number of cars out there, have a little bit of damage. And he will have the attentions of Nick Lamming to focus on. As the number 87 continues a good drive this evening. Ellie Pocket still leads this race. She's nearly 6 seconds in front of John Goday. And then it's Jordan Harding in third position. This is a nice panning shot actually over the hill. There's Steve Hall. Ballack in fifth. Then it's Lamming. Oh, big clamber over the curbs from the Mustang. Howard Dunn just gained a bit more time in that first sector on those two in front of him. Roland Jordan in 8th place. There's Davies out and by. Then it's Danny in 10th position. That's Jacob Byford-Rue going through, just out and by, clambering all over the curbs. Danny Felix is in 11th position. See how long we can keep hold of this camera tracker for, because we're going to have to go to Dennis Penders. There we go. Dennis Penders in 12th place. And then Mikey Keaton doing a really good job actually in 13th position. He's comfortably clear of Liam Watkinson, who's a couple of laps down. He's comfortably in front of Byford-Rue, Jeffrey Van Buren, and obviously Lorenzo Mihai. So this is, providing that Mikey keeps it on the road, this is going to be a strong result from him. And Ballack is in the pits. So the Hungarian decides it's time for a new set of tyres. Potentially some fuel, who knows. As John Goday now slips to 6 seconds behind the race leader. Just looking at the gap between himself and Harding, that's remained the same. Hall, it's about the same as well. And Lamming, that'll be a new gap, that's 4 seconds. What about Howard Dunn? I've just seen him fire off the 4th corner. Marginal gains from Dunn. Well, as I said, Ballack in the pits. Now, as I was saying earlier, Berger and Barabas are gap to watch. 2 seconds between them. So Berger has gained time. That front group were driving quite well. Ballack will come out behind them, I think. He's certainly not set off just yet, and there's Barabas going past them. So Ballack has got some damage to be fixed in the pits, I feel. And this gap's changed. That was a lot bigger, that gap, just a moment ago. And Steve Hall's in the pits. So that, I think that was a mistake from Hall, and he's decided to pit now whilst he's ahead. That gap came down to less than half a second. So Nick Lamming will move into 4th place. And Ballack rejoins the set. He's quite far down, actually, is Ballant. He's come out 22 seconds behind Zolt Barabas, and you just wonder whether that was the right decision to fix the damage on the car. Unless Ballant feels he can go a lot faster, I have a suspicion that that might have just knocked him out of contention for, well, what was the podium fight for him. I wonder if that was the right call. Time will tell if I'm incorrect or not. You see Nick Lamming was coming through the chicane then, so that just gives you an amount of time of loss there. Ellie Pocket's gone off the road! Ellie Pocket's gone off the road! We haven't seen it, she's had a huge one. What a shocking development that is, and what a time for my headset to cut out there. Howard Dunn's picked up a time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. He's got a drive through. Oh, and Howard Dunn's recovery drive is going to be stunted by that. Ellie Pocket went off the road. Wow, that is a rare mistake from the woman who's normally so efficient. And John Goday, seeing that, was thinking, right, let's get into the pits now. This is going to turn the race on its head. Nick Lamming pitted as well, so Jordan Harding will continue to do what Jordan Harding does at the front. Mikey Keating is inside the top 10. Someone take a picture. That's a great story, that is. Into the pits at half distance. Oh dear. Well, I can't believe he's just almost done a Lewis Hamilton into the pits there, but Mikey was driving brilliantly until that point. He's going to have to get that fixed. John Gaudet has come out, just looking in relation to where he is with Sebastian Berger. He's come out miles in front, and Ellie Pocket is still in the pits. She's got damage. She's got it fixed. She's going to get going, but she'll be behind Barabas. And I think she'll be behind... No, Ballock's back in the pits. As Howard Dunn serves his drive-through penalty, it's all kicking off here at Zolder. I said this earlier. Before the race started, this is one of those circuits where, okay, on-track overtakes, there aren't a million of them, but mistakes are plenty. And that's exactly what's happened. So Steve Hall now is going to be in a good... Yeah, Steve Hall's now in front of Ellie Pocket. That's how much time she's lost. So she's going to have to try and put her foot down. And that's going to give John Gaudet the race lead when Jordan Harding pits. I was saying before, he hasn't yet had a race victory. This could be John's moment. Dennis Penders was up to 5th briefly, to the delight of the home crowd. The Zoutenbayers are 2nd and 3rd, but yet to pit. Same with Danny Felix. He's had a very quietly efficient race, actually, has Danny. But we've got to have a look at what happened to Ellie Pocket. And I know there might be a bit of a thing where people are like, oh, why are we focusing on this? This doesn't happen often. This doesn't happen often. And she was comfortably in the lead. That's where we were looking at the replay for a lap and a half. Comfortably at the front. And then into the pit she comes. So now I think she might have done something similar to Jeffrey Van Buren earlier in the race. Because I think she's got a little bit crossed up on one of the corners here. She's run wide. Oh, she just went straight into the barrier. That's a bizarre accident. And then smacks backwards into the wall. Tries to get the car going. Gaudet goes through. And then tries to... Oh, and then Jordan did very well to avoid that. I just want to have a look at the onboard of this, because this is one of those accidents that is a little bit peculiar. On board with it. It's like she didn't turn. And then into the barrier. Round she goes. This is the moment where John Gaudet goes, goodness me, yes. And then this is where Jordan Harding goes, oh, expletives. I don't think Ellie meant to do that, if I'm being completely honest. I think she was trying to get back on the racing line, saw Jordan at the last minute and then moved away. So that has changed it all. Back to the pits and garage we go. Davy Zoutenbayer's brother Danny has pitted. And Ballock is still in the pits. No! Oh, what a shame. Lorenzo Mihai is retired as well. That puts us down to 18 cars, technically 17, because Ballock is still in pit lane. What a shame. And Howard Dunn is trying to go past Dennis Penders for the 2nd time in this race, and he does completely overtake. And Howard Dunn goes up to 12th place, but look how much time Pocket has lost here. Roland Jordan's in... Roland Jordan's come out behind Jordan Harding. Or is behind Jordan Harding, rather, because of Jordan's not yet pitted. It's very... Do you know what I'm very conscious of when I'm commentating, is that we've got Roland Jordan and Jordan Harding. And it's... I do sometimes cross over with the pair of them in terms of Jordan's done a good job, and you think, which Jordan are you on about, Jack? But I digress. Roland Jordan is running in 8th position as it stands. It's very difficult actually now to ascertain where everybody is in relation to the race leader, because obviously Harding leads, but he's not yet pitted. Danny Felix is running in a terrific 3rd place. Harding's lap times are, well, last lap was a little bit slower than what he would have wanted, but his lap times are still relatively positive. Let's just see what this one is as he comes across the line. It's a 29.7 is his best. He's done a 30.3. G'day is in the 29s. Berger's last lap was a 30.1, so he's not gaining loads of time. Barabas is matching Harding's time, so as it stands, it's going to be close between Berger and Harding. I think Harding will come out in front of Barabas, but it's going to be pretty close between himself and Berger, who I think now has got a bit to work with now that he's on his own and he doesn't have to worry about defending or attacking other cars. This is all turned on its head in the last 10 minutes. Pocket now behind Steve Hall, who in turn is behind Roland Jordan, so there's going to be some fighting going on in the field. Danny's out and buyers there as well. Keep tuned in, folks, because we've got 24 minutes of racing action still to come, and it is far from over. You've got the recovery drive of Ellie Pocket, the recovery drive of Howard Dunn. I do feel for Howard, because I think if he hadn't have made that... That's the worst thing for Howard Dunn, is that if he hadn't have made that mistake, he'd probably be with Nick Lamming now. So that mistake of speeding in the pit lane has truly cost him. And race leader is in pit lane. Harding gets it slowed down. And Davies out and by it. How close do you want to get to the back of Liam Watkinson's Mustang? Goes into the pits. So what does Danny Felix do? Does he carry on to lead a lap? I'm trying to think the last time Danny Felix led a race in ACC Race Nation. I think it was that standout drive that he did last season at Bathurst. Was he? I'm just trying to think if he led the race via pit stops at one point. Can't quite recall. I remember that drive was fantastic at Bathurst. He was unlucky not to score a first podium in the series that night. He's done a good job. Harding's coming out of the pits. I said it'd be close with Berger. Going down the pit lane now. Berger's pushing, but I think he's going to get out in front of the Porsche. It's going to be tight. But we're going to see the Bentley emerge in front of the Porsche. What that does is put John G'day 10 seconds to the good, I'd presume, in front of Harding. And he can just take his time, but he's going to be pushing flat out. I don't think he's going to want to make any mistakes. Yeah, 9.5 seconds between himself and Jordan Harding, and then it's Berger in 4th place, which will become 3rd. Barabas is in 5th position, but he's got Nick Lamming right with him. Don't forget, Barabas is going to be involved with the stewards after this race. Davies out and by 7th, and then it's Jordan, Steve Hall and Ellie Pocket. But Danny Felix leads the race. It's not often you say it. Into the pits he goes. Just looking, will he lead officially the lap as he comes across the line? He's going to go into the pits. I think G'day is going to snatch that off him. Just looking on the track mapper, there he is. He's going to snatch that off him. But Danny Felix did lead. Let that be known. The streets won't forget. Danny Felix led at Zolder for a lap. And what a glorious lap it would have felt like for him. So now we start to see where the actual order shuffles around. Roland Jordan has been overtaken by both Ellie Pocket and Steve Hall whilst we were watching that. So it's Hall up to 8th. Davies out and by the next car in front of him. Felix, of course, still in the pit, so he's going to come out. Let's look and see Howard Dunn is in 12th position. There's the brilliant camera tracker we get there. Just wondering whether he's going to come out in front of that group. He's still in the pits, actually. It's not served that stop. So he's going to come out behind Penders, but he will come out in front of Mikey Keating. So it'll be 13th place for Felix when he emerges from the pit lane. He is doing now, but he's going to be behind Dennis Penders. But still 20 minutes to go in this race. Still a third of it remaining. Let's not rule that out at all. Jordan Harding's just got the gap down to 8 seconds. It was 9.5. On board then with Pocket. Ooh, little slide from Hall. We've lost Cabrasseau, sadly, from the race as well. He's another retirement. It's very close to saying Capri Sun, actually, as Cabrasseau. It's got that same phonetics going on. Pocket looking to try and fight her way back up to maybe Davies out and by her. After that, Barabas is quite far up the road. But this is an interesting battle. And I feel that this is a big moment for Steve Hall. How well can he defend from the woman in form? 3 races she's done this season. She's won 2 of them. In fact, out of the 4 races she's contested in ACC Race Nation, she's won 3 of the 4. So, class is permanent. But Steve Hall is a champion. So, the up-and-comer versus the stalwart of the series. Who's going to be the victor in this battle, I wonder? Still got 18 minutes to find out. And Davies out and by is not too far away from this, so it could become a 3-horse race for 6th position. A wide line that from Hall, but it interestingly worked out for him as he came off the corner. So they are coming up to some lap traffic in the form of Keating. But no move on the horizon just yet for Pocket. Now, Lamming and Barabas separated by less than a second. Harding has pulled away from Berger. It's up to 2 seconds. And the home hero is in 12th place. Danny Felix is less than 3 seconds behind. Liam Watkinson actually in the other Mustang right behind him. Liam, I feel, is a lap down on Penders. There's Byford Root running in 15th. One of the 2 drivers to have got a drive through for speeding in the pit lane. Maybe it's just an Aston Martin pit limiter issue or something, because the only 2 cars that have done it are both Aston Martins. Still circulating in 15th. Mikey Keating in 14th place. Ooh, as we ride on board with him, he gets that wrong into the chicane. Oh, he's moved right out of the way actually, as Mikey. He's dropped 10 seconds on this lap because he moved out of the way for traffic. But Mikey on his way to the best result of the season for him. A 2-hour race at Kyalami, he was 15th that day. He's 14th as it stands, and if we look to where Byford Rear is, he's on the other side of the circuit, so looking good for Mikey. Danny's out and by it, just behind this trio of cars, because Roland Jordan has reattached himself to Pocket as Pocket tries to lunge up the inside of Hall at turn 3, 2 and 3. On board with the Ferrari. Barabas and Lamming very close. McLaren closes the gap. Hall just moves to the middle of the road. And Pocket now throwing some offensive shapes to get past the Season 8 champion. This is a chance for the McLaren on the outside line. I think that's going to be move completed. Hall very fair. And Pocket goes through. Nice move. So a little clambering over the curves from the Ferrari, and that was enough for the McLaren to slot on through. So Ellie moves up to 7th. And Davies Outenbayer, who was only 2 seconds in front of this duo, has got a gap up to 5.5 seconds now. So Ali's going to have to go after that one. Van Buren circulating in 16th place. It's a shame what happened to him earlier on in the race. But Roland Jordan has done a very good drive today as Roland Jordan. Balak sadly effectively out of the race here as Danny Felix starts to close the gap down to Dennis Penders. And I'm going to draw your attention, everyone, to the gap at the front. Jordan Harding came out of the pits 9.5 seconds behind John Gidey. Now that was with 24.5 minutes to go. In 10 minutes that gap has come down to 5 seconds. Now this is going to be a battle for the ages if Harding continues at this rate or not. We've not seen a Bentley 1-2 before, but which way is it going to be? Sebastian Berger, in the meantime, he's just fallen a little bit away, but a great drive from him in the Porsche. We know he's carrying ballast, as is Harding for that matter. But Berger has a little bit more than the Bentley in front of him. Speaking of the Bentley in front of the Bentley, he's going to be flashing the lights to tell Van Buren to move on out of the way. Into the chicane, over the curbs. Van Buren, very fair, moves right out of the way. A 1:30.2 on the last lap from Gidey. Harding a 29.3. That's nearly a second faster. Wow. Oof, a little bit wide that from Gidey. And I wonder if he's noticed that Harding is coming for him. It's always the issue with when you're attacking and trying to win your first race in a championship. It's just that little bit of uncertainty that can come from it. And it always just brings on some butterflies and you find yourself in a position that you weren't expecting to be in. And I mean that in the greatest respect, because Gidey was over 10 seconds behind Ellie Pocket when she crashed, but he has been a brilliant driver this evening. Got past Harding earlier, but this is going to be a fight that rumbles on to the end of the race. We'll cut back to that later. As Davies Outenbayer in 6th, he's not actually lost any time to Ellie Pocket. He's putting in some good laps in the Nissan. Barabas is still holding on to 4th place. Nick Lamming is on for a brilliant result. Of course, best result of the season for Nick was 8th back at round 1. He's going to comfortably clear that as it stands. Potentially it could be 4th place on track or after the race, but don't slide the car out of turn 2 like that, Nick. You'll worry everyone back at the pits. Pocket with a 29.7 compared to Zoutenbayer with a 30.1. It's not enough at the minute. And Steve Hall just hanging on to the rear spoiler at the moment. If he can go with the McLaren, I think he'll be happy with that. It is a bit of an unknown from my perspective how Steve Hall ended up further behind, because before the pit stops he was in the fight with Barabas and co. and then ended up quite far behind. So I don't know if it was a slow pit stop or had damage, whatnot. That's something that we are unclear on at this phase of the race with 10 minutes and 38 seconds to go. On board with Lamming. Oh, deep from Barabas. Chance. Oh, that was a little bit clumsy from Lamming, but he did the right thing. He stopped and let the Nissan go. That was an opportunity, that, for Nick, but he just got a little bit excited on that one. Thankfully, they can have a little incident like that. They are quite far ahead of the next set of cars. Danny Felix finds himself with Dennis Penders again. I feel like this happens quite a lot between these two. Danny Zolder trying to crack into the top 9 if he can. I just keep thinking Howard Dunn should be higher than what he is. If you look at the gap, he should be between Davy Zoutenbayer and Nick Lamming without that drive through. In fact, you could even argue he would be in front of these guys. Serving a drive through at Zolder is about 20-25 seconds. Maybe even 30, depending on the speed limit you're going at. Massive shame for Howard. It was a glorious recovery drive until that point. Look at this gap. Look at this gap. It's 2.7 seconds. Now we do have traffic in front of us. That's Van Buren and that's Byford Roux. You're gonna have to jump out of the way. That's wide, that, from Harding, but he did a good job to keep the throttle pinned. And to the right hand we go. We're getting a little bit balked now. Ooh. Incredibly wide. Still gain time on Goudet at that moment. One back marker has gone. And Byford Roux will see that and he'll move right out of the way. Now that's a battle for position, by the way, between Van Buren and Byford Roux. That's why they weren't moving out of the way so quickly. Ooh, as Byford Roux has a little slide through turn 7. Try and get a proper on board of these two if we can. That's Liam Watkinson off the road. That's claimed a few victims tonight at turn 7. Byford Roux's done a good drive. Van Buren's just trying to recover from the damage he got earlier. John Goudet is 2.6 seconds in front of Harding. As we go into the last 7 and a bit minutes of this race. Another wobble from the Aston Martin in front of us. Now Van Buren, this is for 15th. Down the main straight we go. Van Buren just throttled back there. A little bit wide, almost into the gravel. Through the right hander, the Aston Martin has another wobble on the exit. Into turn 4, bit of oversteer from Byford Roux, but he hangs on to it. I don't think I've seen a car animated as much as Byford Roux's Aston Martin, to be fair, in this race. It does seem to slide around a lot, but he's hanging on to it very well. We're both going to have Sebastian Berger come through in a moment. So we'll have to get out of the way of the Porsche on course for a second podium of the 2 races he's contested. Barabas and Lamming are close together again. Down into turn 8. Van Buren just giving half of a look at the Aston Martin. He's not going to try and dive down the inside from that far back, but it's just to fill the mirrors of the number 7. Blue flag's now being shown. And this will be important in terms of where do you let the car behind go. Berger's not quite with them yet. He will be in a moment. That's a bit wide from Byford Roux. That might be the chance for Van Buren. But he's going to move out of the way. He's going to let Berger go. He wants to try and follow Berger through if he can. That would be the best. That would be the best way of getting through. It's up to 0.3 of a second. He's got to really push through turn 4, I think. Big slide from Byford Rue. He's into the gravel. And he's going to retain the place. Byford Rue's not slowed down, interestingly. Does he think that Berger is Van Buren? He might have a case of mistaken identity, and now he lets the Porsche go. Gap at the front, that's less than 2 seconds now. 5 minutes and less than a quarter of that to go. Danny Felix still running in 12th place. There it is. That's a second practically now. Catching is one thing, passing is quite another. And John Gaudet will be sweating through his sweat, because that gap has rapidly come down. Jordan Harding has become a completely different driver in the second half of this race. Absolutely flying. Another second taken out of the race leader. This is going to be a battle for the days, I feel. Quick look back through the field. Davy Zoutenbayer, he's got that gap quite comfortable too. Got a yellow flag actually just then. Was that Liam Watkinson going off the road? It was. Yeah, so Davy Zoutenbayer, let's just have a quick look at these gaps. Davy Zoutenbayer isn't under any threat from Ellie as it stands. Steve Hall in 8th position. Roland Jordan is still fending off Danny Zoutenbayer. It's a good fight between those two. Penders has been overtaken by Danny Felix, and Van Buren still tries to find his way past Byford Rue. So this is the one we'll concentrate on. The battle for the race lead. John Gaudet looking for the first ever win in ACC Race Nation versus Jordan Harding, who only has one himself. Just about gathers it all up at turn 7. That corner has caused so many issues, and that is going to give a little bit of breathing space for the man we ride on board with. Oh, if you'd have gone off there, you'd have kicked yourself, Harding. But he's managed to gather it up together, and that might just be the breather that Gaudet needs. The man who carries the Greasy Bandits Racing tag. That's what GBR stands for. I found that out last week. He's looking so close to that first win. But he's got to deal with the challenger behind. Less than a second, the gap dips back down again. Berger still in 3rd place, on course for another podium. Nick Lamming is still putting the pressure on Zolt Barabas. There might be a chance between these two in the last few minutes. And looking further back through the field, Van Buren's still behind Byford Rue. He's doing a great job defensively here. Don't forget, Byford Rue on the controller. Van Buren's close. This time around, he's very close this time around. Is he going to lunge at the chicane? He's down the inside. There's a little bit of contact, and Byford Rue stays in front. Little bit of contact between the Dutchman and the Brit. They carry on as they were. It was basically a racing incident, that one. Mikey Keaton on his way to the best result of his season so far. I've been actually quite impressed with Mikey tonight, to be fair. Making improvement. It seems that his qualifying just set him up in for a really good form race. Zoutenbayer still right behind Roland Jordan. We go back to the front. Half a second. We're going to have 2 more laps. Here at Zolder. 2 more laps. 5 and a bit miles for John Gaudet to hang on to that first ever win. So this is it. Will Harding decide to send a big Bentley shape up the inside? That's a wobble from Gaudet, but he's just far enough in front of the number 16 to not have to panic. And it's important now that he doesn't. He doesn't want to start defending lines. He doesn't need to. Bentley on Bentley action at the front of the field. Into the right-hander. And Harding just looks like he's got more confidence. Goudet might have to throw a shape here, which he does. Goes to the middle of the road. Jordan looks to the outside. Down into turn 8. Oh, that wasn't quite the line Harding would have wanted through there. And it gives Goudet half a yard. And another little corner ticked off in the checklist on the quest for a victory. Into the left-hander at turn 10. Then the right. Onto the main straight for what will be the penultimate time in this race as we go on to the final lap. Here at Zolder. This is it. The Bentley boys at the front of the field, looking to do something that I don't believe has ever been done in ACC before in Race Nation. Through the right-hander they go at turn 3. There's a slide for Goudet. Where does he defend? Well, he's going to have to go to the inside here, is Goudet. And that's going to help Jordan if he can find a way underneath his stablemate. He's close. He's got a nose almost there. Goudet doing a great job here, but he's still got half the circuit to get through. Harding breaks a little bit later. They're going to go through the chicane. Nice exit from the number 8. Holds on to the lead for now. Effectively, 4 big stops left on the circuit. This is one of them. Gets through that little wobble for Harding behind, but he's still defending the line quite nicely. Through the right-hander. Little bit wide that, I think. Goudet doesn't have to defend this one into turn 8. I think he's going to be okay. He does do. Now it's all about your exit, John. Can he get off the corner? Well, he can. He can do just that. Harding's not close enough. He's going to throw a shape. This might be the moment. Can Goudet get it slowed down? Harding's not quite close enough. It's going to be our first win in ACC Race Nation for John Goudet, who takes it on the line from Jordan Harding in second. What a battle between the two at the end. Fabulous racing between the Bentley boys. Sebastian Berger with a brilliant effort to finish in the third. The only Porsche in the field. Zolt Barabas is just about going to fend off Nick Lamming, but I feel that result might change post-race. So it's 4th for Barabas across the line, 5th for Lamming. Davies out and by a very quietly effective race tonight from the Dutchman. He's going to be 6th. Ali Pocket, who's going to be kicking herself after that, 7th place for the 855. Steve Hall does a good job in the end to actually finish within a second of the 2-time race winner this season. Roland Jordan with a good drive tonight as well in front of Danny Zoutenbayer for a spot inside the top 10. Howard Dunn, I keep thinking what might have been for the South African. But he's still going to get a competitive effort in for 11th place. That big result will come this season. I just feel it from Howard. He's improving all the time. Danny Felix will beat the home hero of Dennis Penders to 12th place. As the Belgian fans, a nice little slide out of the corner there from Dennis. Mikey Keaton sees the checkered flag as well. And that is your provisional race finish. It's John Goudet with a first victory in ACC Race Nation. Well done to John on that one. He just about fended off Jordan Harding in those last few laps by less than half a second between the two. Sebastian Berger with his second podium of the season in 3rd. Zolt Barabas just about fending off Nick Lamming in 4th. Lamming obviously taking his best result of the season in 5th. Davey Zoutenbayer in 6th with Ali Pocket 7th. Steve Hall in 8th position with Roland Jordan, and Danny Zoutenbayer rounding out the top 10. Howard Dunn was 11th with Danny Felix in 12th place with Dennis Penders, who we see in front of us in 13th position. Mikey Keating with his best result of the season in 14th. Congratulations to Byford Rue for fending off Jeffrey Van Buren. That was a great drive from Jacob to finish in 15th. The Dutchman recovering well, though, after a instant field opening 2 laps. Liam Watkinson was 17th, and then our retirement, sadly, from the race. Ballant Ballock, for reasons unbeknownst to us. We also, of course, had our debutant in the form of Nolhan Cabrisseau. retired after being involved in an incident earlier on. Lorenzo Mihai has also retired, and Daniel Takacs, who got involved in that opening lap incident. Jordan saying there in the comments he will take that with ballast on the car. It was an exceptional drive, Jordan. Just short in the end of a second Race Nation win, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. But great driving out there. So we'll have John Gaudet, Jordan Harding and Sebastian Berger will carry ballast into their next event. If they are racing next week, they'll be taking that ballast to the Red Bull Ring. And let's be honest, if you want to take ballast anywhere, Red Bull Ring is the track to take it to. So that'll be round 8 on the 19th of August. After that, we'll be heading to Donington on the 26th of August, and then Bathurst. Thanks to the calendar organisers, we're able to swap that to round 10 on the 2nd of September. I'm excited to commentate on that event. But that is all of the action here from ACC Race Nation. Mikey delighted with the results. Apparently Byford Rue had some form of an issue. I forgot to slow in the pit lane. That makes sense.
Go.
And yeah, well done, Jacob. Great drive defensively that to stop Van Buren from getting past you in the end. So well done to everyone in the comments. Well done to everyone on track. And congratulations to John Gaudet for taking that first ever Race Nation victory. But I've been your commentator, Jack Millington, as always, for season 13. Wherever you are in the big wide world, have a good one. And we'll see you next week at the Red Bull Ring.